Hi everyone, it's Chelsea here, bringing you another segment of living in Southwest Florida. A few years ago, I shot a video all about Cape Coral's quadrants and what you could expect relatively in each of them. But if you followed the news in the last 2 years, Cape Coral has grown even more. And as such, a lot of the data I gave is, well, out of date. So today we're going to review Cape Coral's quadrants, what the highlights are, and what you can expect to find budget-wise in each of these areas. But before we jump in, really quickly, it would mean a lot to me if you go ahead and hit that like button so that YouTube algorithms share this information with others and it lets me know what you'd like more of. As a thank you, here's some footage of a great tiki I found in Southeast Cape Coral home. My clients and I were touring and we found this tiki and agreed it was one of our favorite places all day long to hang out by the water. And really quickly, I wouldn't be good at my job if I didn't remind you how much we love helping people from all over the country buy and sell their homes here in Southwest Florida. So if you or anyone you know of are even thinking about moving, then feel free to use the contact information below. All right, let's jump right in. Let's set up some overall perspective of the town layout as a whole, because Cape Coral makes it both super easy and super challenging to find anything. First off, it's separated into 4 different quadrants, titled by their directional status: southeast, southwest, northeast, and northwest. Super clever. Most streets are going to be numbered versus named, although there are some exceptions to this rule, particularly on the main roads, private roads, and some in the yacht club area. For those numbered roads, they go high to low, and then they duplicate each street or terrace or avenue in place. So, for example, you're going to find in Cape Coral a Southwest 27th Avenue, a Northwest 27th Avenue, a Southwest 27th Place, a Northwest 27th Place, and then in the opposite direction, a Southwest 27th Street, a Southeast 27th Street, a Southwest 27th Terrace, and a Southeast 27th Terrace. So as you can see here, directionals and suffixes both really matter. To get side to side in Cape Coral, you're looking at roughly a 30-minute drive, maybe a little bit longer in rush hour during a snowbird season. All in all, it's not a terrible commute from the stretches of each end. Cape Coral's sordid beginnings begin in the southeast, so we're going to start there. Southeast Cape. Since I went through Cape Coral's history in previous videos, I'm going to skip that this time around. But if you're unfamiliar with it, then feel free to reach out because it's really a fascinating one. The city literally grew out of a swamp and became a vibrant town. In short, though, the Rosen brothers from Baltimore came down, bought a swamp, and then started dredging up all the canals and put that fill dirt onto the banks to create the lands the homes sit on now. They built a yacht club, a rose garden to make things look nice. Then they went on a worldwide spree of marketing that included taking prospects up in planes and dropping a sack of flour to determine which lot the prospect would buy. All of this started in the Southeast Cape, with our Del Prado as our airstrip, country club as an actual golf course, and of course the yacht club. To establish some boundaries, Southeast Cape Coral is roughly south of Hancock Bridge Parkway and east of Santa Barbara Boulevard. Cape Coral as a whole is still a developing city, but since this is where they started first pinging away at selling land, this is the area that's going to be the most developed. And you'll find mostly established homes here and mostly established neighborhoods from the late 50s and 60s and many of the businesses that we know and love today. Del Prado was eventually turned from an airstrip to a main road, and nowadays it's one of the main thoroughfares of town and where you can find many established businesses throughout this part of the area. The little downtown area of Cape Coral is going to be found at Del Prado and Cape Coral Parkway, and then most businesses will extend up and down from these main roads. Many of the city's sponsored events are going to be taking place either downtown or in the City Hall area, or the parks located throughout Southeast Cape. Things like the Holiday Boat Parade, the Labor Day Parade, and the tree lighting ceremony all take place in this part of town. And our Red, White, and Boom Independence Day event will be seen over the Caloosahatchee River. Speaking of the river, this area is also considered highly desirable because of its close proximity to Fort Myers. There are bridges at Cape Coral Parkway and at Veterans Memorial that residents can use to trek over to the other side of town. Since the southeast is the closest to Fort Myers, sometimes this proximity can shave off time from a commute for residents. Something to note about these bridges though, you can leave Cape Coral for free, but you can't return. Both bridges have tolls to return to Cape Coral side. For those who want to return for free, you're going to need to head north through North Fort Myers and cross there instead. If it's things to do that you're looking for, the Southeast Cape offers many amenities. There are many parks and recreational facilities throughout this area. 4 Mile Cove Ecological Park, Saratoga Lake Park, and Four Freedoms Park are 3 very beloved parks. Our biggest park jewel, if you will, is going to be the Yacht Club Recreational Center, but it's going to be closed for the next couple of years. It was already slated for some major renovation projects, but with Hurricane Ian, it needs to go back to the drawing board, so they'll remain closed until they get it all sorted out. When it does open again, it's going to have a community pool, rec center, marina, tennis courts, and a public beach. JC Park is also slated for an upgrade with an amphitheater and a food truck parking lot for more city events. For a little piece of culture, check out Cape Coral Art League or Cape Coral Theater, both of which are located in Cultural Park Boulevard. In that area, just down the street, you can also find the Rotary Community Garden and the Cape Coral Museum of History. Or explore Veterans Memorial just off Veterans Memorial Parkway near 4 Mile Cove. And don't forget the Farmers Market in downtown Cape Coral every Saturday morning. All right, let's take a look at what you can expect to pay for this area. Much of this area, housing-wise, includes some of the best boating canals in the city. I say this because many of the Gulf canals in this area are much shorter to get to open water than areas in the Southwest Cape. In the last 4 months, home sales have ranged from a 2-bedroom condo for $154,000 to a riverfront estate for $3.25 million. The median price of a home in the Southeast Cape was $420,000. For those who want water frontage, the median sales price in this area ran just over $550,000, and on the reverse of that, a median sales price for a dry lot was around $350,000. A pool home's median price was $512,500, and for the elusive Gulf Access home that also has a pool, expect a median sales price of $635,000. Southwest Cape. Moving across Santa Barbara was the next to begin its build-out, the Southwest Cape Coral area. The border is roughly Embers Parkway to the north and Santa Barbara on its east. The next 3 quadrants are much more residential, and Southwest Cape is pretty much that stereotype. We do have shopping and businesses though along Cape Coral Parkway and up along Veterans and down Pine Island. We also have shopping and restaurant area at Tarpon Point and Cape Harbor. But if I had to boil the Southwest Cape to a specific word, I would say that the homes in the neighborhoods have a general reputation for being a little more luxurious than other parts of the Cape. This might be because there are more boating neighborhoods with access to the Gulf for boating than any of the other areas. Keep in mind, rule of thumb, that the faster it is to get to open water, the higher the value. And the furthest to troll out might take about an hour. Also, some of the waterways that are going to be quicker will get you to the bay quicker instead of traveling down the Caloosahatchee River. There are some really fun things to do in this part of town as well. Big notable sites going to be Sunsplash Family Water Park and Rotary Park, which hosts festivals like Burling Owl Fest throughout the year. It also has a butterfly garden and walking trails and a dog park. There are some other local parks like Jim Jeffers and Pelican Park, or you can visit splash pads at Fellowship Park, which is one of our family's personal favorites. If sports is more your cup of tea, then maybe try out Cape Coral Sports Complex and Strausser's BMX Sports Complex. Palmetto Pines Golf Course is located off of Skyline Boulevard, and it's designed by renowned architect Arthur Hills, who designed the club's championship 18-hole par 72 course. Their greens are known to be some of the very best in the region, with a reputation of being very smooth and very quick. There is a public library just off of Gleason, which hosts talks and programs for kids, and really nice date night might be going to the distillery at the Wicked Dolphin Rum Distillery, or to a cooking class from the French patisserie My Sweet Art. There are a lot of builders in this area, with their model homes being along Chiquita or throughout the Southwest area, and while it is built out much more than its northern counterparts, you can still find some of this area being developed. This means that Southwest Cape Coral will be where you're going to find more newer homes than in the Southeast, but it still has much more of an area of established feel. Southwest Cape is also home to several of the illustrious gated communities in Cape Coral, which might also feed into that luxurious vibe. Let's pause here for a minute though and go back to what I said about the Rosens pinging around lot by lot. Since Cape Coral was originally built out as individual lots for sale, there wasn't really many planned HOA-style communities or gated communities because they couldn't get big bulks of land. But some of the ones that they do exist include the illustrious Cape Harbor, which also features a hotel, a marina, restaurants, and shopping. Cape Harbor homes are very exclusive and part of their Gulf accessibility. Almost identical to Cape Harbor in terms of exclusivity and amenities is nearby neighbor Tarpon Point. Further up the road is one of the largest and most respected gated communities in Cape Coral, Sandoval. Royalty Country Club Estates is the only Gulf gated community in the Cape. Let's talk numbers now, and we'll take a look at what you can expect to pay for this area. In the last 4 months, home sales have ranged from a small 2-bedroom condo for $130,000 to a beautiful Cape Harbor estate for $3.3 million. The median price point of the homes in the Southwest Cape was higher than its eastern counterpart, for a median sales price of $499,000. For those who want water frontage, the median sales price in this area ran just over $689,000. And for those on the reverse, who are looking for dry lots, it was going to be around $430,000 for a median sales price. A pool home's median sales price was $623,000. And for the full experience, a waterfront home that also has a pool, expect a median sales price of $765,000. Northwest Cape. Heading north along the coast is Northwest Cape Quadrant, which is Santa Barbara on its east and Embers Parkway on its southern border, and it cuts off just before Burnt Store Road Marina on the northern side. The Northern Cape is very much a work in progress and where a majority of the building is currently occurring. A lot of the new construction is going on in here. Currently, D.R. Horton is building a gated community called Stonewater. Recently, there was an announcement of Hudson Creek, a 1,700-acre development that's slated for 3,500 new homes. But that is some time off, and so for the time being, in the northern parts of Northwest Cape Coral, it is not uncommon to find fields and homes sporadically placed with homes just a couple on a street. The most development can be found around the lower portion of Northwest Cape, in part because it's closer proximity to amenities, and along the coastline because it's valued for easier access to the Gulf on boating. Most of the area will be residential. It does have easy access to shopping on Pine Island Road, and that's going to be where most people will head for shopping and restaurants. The Northwest Softball Complex can be found off Chiquita, and golfers can play all day long at Coral Oaks Golf Course, which is not only one of the most top-rated golf courses locally, but it's also only one that's municipally owned public course. There's a project that's been in the works for years now called Seven Islands Project, and it will be an area similar to Tarpon Point in the south. This is an area that's being targeted quietly for more city resources, but there isn't anything in stone yet. For example, a public library recently opened in Chiquita and Tropicana, and Lee County Public Schools has informally said that they do know that this is going to be an area in the future that's going to be targeted for new schools. Also, there's been quiet discussions on the need for a hospital in the future, and the Northwest has been discussed as a good option where it should go. Granted, none of this is set in stone, but it is active talks that we're hearing within the community. Let's pause for a moment and talk about public utilities. Cape Coral is a developing city. When it was first built out, the entire city was on septic and well systems. As the city has grown though, public utilities like water and sewer lines, sidewalks, and streetlights, they all had to be added in later. At this stage, the southeast and southwest quadrants have had their water and sewer lines added in, and they've had their special assessments placed on the taxes to help pay for it. The northwest and northeast are just beginning to get these utilities built out, and as such, only certain parts have been assessed and began the work. Be sure to look if a home has had it paid off or if it's going to be transferred to the new owners. So, what will this area cost? Since this area is a little bit more off the beaten path, the area is also going to be a little bit more affordable. But we do have waterfront and we do have new construction, and those can be markers for keeping a home price at a more premium level. So let's talk about what that means at the developing areas. In the last 4 months, home sales have ranged from a smaller home for $220,000 to a custom canal home for $1.7 million. The median price point of a home in the Northwest Cape is still lower than its southern counterparts, clocking in at $384,900. Something I do want to point out though, this section of Cape Coral does not have any townhouses or condos for sale. So we're talking only about single family homes. For those who want water footage, the median sales price in this area ran just over $615,000. And on the reverse of that, the median sales price for a dry lot was $371,500. A pool home's median price point was $550,000, and for a waterfront home that also had a pool, expect a median sales price of $865,000. Northeast Cape. Last but certainly not least is Northeast Cape, which is roughly north of Hancock Bridge and between Santa Barbara Boulevard and Northeast 24th Avenue. Very similar to Northwest Cape, this area is primarily a residential area that is still in its development phase. As such, there's still plenty of open fields and sporadic housing the further north you go. The biggest draw for shopping and restaurants can be found along Pine Island Road, a main drag in and out of Cape Coral all the way out to Pine Island. Also on Pine Island, you can expect to find Gator Mike's, which is an amusement park with miniature golf and zip lining, go-karts and dining. Or if you'd rather take a hike, go check out Yellow Fever Creek Preserve. We do have more gated development over here in this part of town than we do in other areas. Bella Vita, Coral Lakes, and Entrada are all off of Del Prado, and a new townhome development is going in by Coral Lakes called Sawgrass at Coral Lakes. Just outside the gate is an area called Gator Circle, and if you move north enough, the Northeast Cape even has unincorporated land where homeowners can have a couple of acres for animals. The Northeast Cape is the most landlocked, so while you may find homes along freshwater lakes or canals, boating isn't really a big deal in this area, and they're more appreciated for their beauty than for their functionality. But it's also the highest land on the Cape, and flood insurance is rarely a requirement. Also a big perk is the accessibility in and out of the city. This part of town is the one that's easiest parts to the freeway for travelers because of its connectivity to Pine Island Road and access to US 41, which can take drivers out to 75. Waterfront housing tends to drive prices higher, and so there's less waterfront, the prices are going to be lower here. Let's dive into these numbers. In the last 4 months, home sales have ranged from a 2-bedroom condo for $180,000 to a 15-acre horse farm in the unincorporated land of the northern neighborhoods for $1.5 million. The median price of a home in the Northeast Cape is the lowest of all 4 quadrants, clocking in just shy of $345,000. Since there isn't much water footage, the 33 homes on freshwater sold for a median sales price of $465,000, and on the reverse of that, the median sales price for a dry lot was around $340,000. A pool home's median sales price was $496,000, and for waterfront with also a pool, expect a median sales price of $537,000. All right, if you have questions about the data or if you'd like to drill down and compare specific neighborhoods, like say Cape Coral versus Fort Myers, or waterfront homes or pool homes or whatever your specific circumstances call for, then feel free to reach out to the contact information in my description below. Myself and a network of agents I have throughout the United States are here and ready to help you with your move. My video schedule can sometimes be erratic, so if you'd like more videos like this, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified when we drop another one. If you're ready to get that ball rolling on your move to Southwest Florida, then there's a link in the description below to set up a personalized home search, and it'll be tailored specifically to you. Oftentimes when we search web aggregates, it limits your capabilities, but when I build out this search, you're going to have many more options available, and we can really begin to have a conversation about what your home in Florida will look like. Or feel free to use CapeCoralFortMyersRealEstate.com for all the latest listings to hit the market and begin getting comfortable with what our marketplace looks like. No obligations. Don't forget to add me on social media and follow along as we post weekly articles and information that you may find handy and give you insight as to what life in Florida looks like. As always, we really appreciate it when you leave us a comment and hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bells so that you can be notified when we drop future videos that may help you with living in Southwest Florida. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I wish you much health and happiness.